What's happening, y'all? Alright, well, I've got some time. I'm going to attempt to do a special Kender stream for y'all. I had written up some stuff for Pez and got a little carried away, and I figured out, ended up doing some stuff for the Northern Ergothian Kender and explaining about them, the difference between them and the Goodland Kender. A lot of it is all second edition material, keep in mind. And I recently got a hold of the new books and read through them, and they talk about Northern Ergoth. Now, the humans in Northern Ergoth are a little bit darker skinned, okay? The Hollow Kender, they crashed in Northern Ergoth, and then the Cataclysm happened, but they had originally been on a flying citadel, okay? And it had crashed. But anyways, enough running my mouth here. I'll go ahead and pull this up here. Pez, this picture, this is from one of the comic books. I think this is number 5 or 4 or 5. This is the one that I don't own, but I got a screenshot. That would be Pez passed out drunk when Karaman and Tanis were having their mock fight. It'll explain. Okay, let me see if I can get this thing rolling here, guys. Hold on just a second here. Will it pull up? What can I get to do here? Yeah. Aha. Yeah, okay. Let me see. All right, you got his. Yep. Okay, let me go to here. Let me go to here. Well, let me see if I can get it rolling first. Okay, we want that. Yeah, want that. There we go. Okay. There we go. Okay. All right, guys. Let's rock and roll here. Hold on just a second here. Be patient with me.
Anything. The Kender Mariner, Pez Thurrofoot. Kender Mariner, Fighter 4 Thief 8, Secondary Skills, Sailing, Acrobat, The Power of Reknin, Asterisk Limited Herb and Alchemy Skills due to being around Astrid Asterisk, Pez can ride, fly, or climb just about anything. The Kender base jumps off canyons with a parachute. Age 54, 80.
Alright, I'm hoping
By
it's
his
going.
reckoning he was born 50 summers ago, round bout the uttermost inlet of Talada's spine bout 2 leagues south of Mytha's Key on a jigger hop. That's what me grandpapa told me cause me parents was on skiff run through an atoll and me ma birthed me during a thunderstorm and they sa. Rainbow appeared right after, and then they boat got sunk and we washed up on a beach and I lived in Barleyford Bay and bounced round flotsam till I was old enough to skiff it out on me own and trail the waters. But I've spent more time on land than any of me bar. Pez often punctuates his speech with the phrase me bar, which is actually spelled and pronounced mabar. It means kin, family, or friend. Seafaring Kender in both Barleyford and Ergoth speak a pidgin speak of common, Ergothian, and Elvish along with some dwarvish phrases that can only be described in real-world terms akin to Cockney rhyming slang. Current residence, Barleyford Common, but always travels with Astrid de Morris as her de facto bodyguard and Kender man-at-arms. In the employ of Empress of the North, Lady de Morris Trapsbringer, her mother appointed Pez as Astrid's bodyguard. Hair, none, usually as he likes to shorn his head sept on top, but tees dark curly as a fine wool. Each journey he takes he grows a ruff or lock of hair into a braid. Each trip as he stops he braids it and gives it to one of his wives or skaglins, kids, to hold. They also mark the braids with beads and color to denote a birth, a death, or even a life event. Over a lifetime of trips his family collects these locks or braids on his rounds among the islands as these tell a story of his travels. Multi-generations of Island Kender make these fetishes and talismans to carry with them and they hold important meaning for most. Skin, light coffee. Pez is in exceptional shape for an older aged Kender. His work wrinkles and calluses of years working the ship's masts have hardened his hands and feet to the consistency of leather. His complexion is sun-hardened, but despite this, the top of his head often shines like a moonbeam on a moonlit night atop the mast. Maquesta Carthon once remarked, "We can tell all weather is good when you peer out port side and hear whistling from high above in the crow's nest. The sounds of ol pets are keeping watch." STR, 17 asterisk note due to racial limit being 16 for Kender normally. The exception being Pez is literally the strongest Kender in all of Ansalon. His height and size of his arms often have him mistaken for a dwarf. DX, 15 I'm as quick as Tars, but MR fat ass needs a few feet to compensate cause I weigh more than a strid or me bar Tars. You sets M both on a scale weigh and sees if I don't win cause I can carry M both on me shoulders and not tire a bit. INT 8, but Pez don't read no maps or charts when you got the wind and stars and sun me bar. I uses the power of reckoning asterisk dash, DM's % chance to be correct on any given path provided special conditions are met regardless of prior mishaps. CHA 13. I finds myself in the employ of Lady Demorris, so I sleep out on the front patio roof of the mansion with all me comforts, including me stargazer. A massive 50-foot telescope. I goes down to the tavern now and then when steel is good. Pez is known in a wide array of bars and squats in Flotsam, Barleyford, and Sandcrystal as an expert Kender, arm wrestler. Pez is good-natured and jovial, but his weakness lies in betting and trying to beat every single challenge Hez offered. Pez had the honor of being passed out drunk in the street in Flotsam when Caramorn and Tanis had their mock fight. Back then he'd been persuaded by unknown to him the Blue Lady in disguise to follow Tanis on suspicion he was a spy. Pez did indeed lead Kitiara to Tanis, albeit being passed out and missed all of the commotion and woke up tied to the back of a red dragon as a prisoner being taken to Neraka. That fart-gobble dragon rider thought he had Petsa tied down to his dragon's smelly hide. I gots loose and I goes WHOP. Upside that human's head. Down he goes screaming and peeing his pants, and his dragon literally eat him trying to get at Emmy on the backer, stab in at it hind quarter with me dag. I says, oh, Petsa me bar. It's a ride to the ground all the way down son. So I's grab holds of a haunch and ties myself to his tail and that big red stinky bastard he goes spinning in a dive to get me loose, and he can't and he flipped and flung me this way and that way, and then I says enough of this silly rucket. I goes womp right when he flipped me toward his maw to catch me. I smack him right on his head with the dragon rider's mace. I forgot I was tied to the dragon. Pez grins sheepishly and rolls his eyes while absently chewing his gold bit. After Pez lost his teeth the gnomes made him some carved wooden ones and later Astrid de Morris made a partial of his teeth out of gold coated with a special heavy beeswax and lacquer, effectively becoming a Kender pioneer in dentistry throughout Ansalon. Phineas Curic asterisk, the Kendemore physician aka Dr. Ears and Teeth, would be proud. Petsa needs me tooth to chew in it. Astrid hands me this big ol gummy piece of beeswax and says, Pez, bite down on this but don't eat it. I says, why, and sure enough they poured some gold into a mold, and then they took a string and they measured my mouth this way and that, and then Astrid seasons it with some beeswax and it works all right, ca? Pez holds up his gold bit. Them gnomes at Mount Nevermind made me tooth shine like the scales of Pyrite herself. DM note, he's also banned from Lord Gunther's Yuletide tournaments, because he broke the thumbs of an overconfident knight in a drunken wager about size, and the knight laughably insisted they a thumb wrestle, not knowing the articulation of a Kender's thumbs, forefingers, and hands in general are somewhat not in proportion to a human's, and he lost when Pez broke one of his thumbs, accidentally. Con 18 Pez can eat and drink his weight in Kenderpack and Barleyford ale. He's mighty partial to boiled shark or crab meat steamed in beer. When he's inland he likes a duck or waterfowl. Hilo Kenderpack is great, but gimme a duck for me stews and some ramps and Petsa got a meal. WIS 8 Tars always got his head stuck in the maps and things, Petsa got no time for that, me bar. I use me power of reckoning and anything else I can get out of you, see me lil ass just a wiggling away, I gots brains to stay alive. Island Kender. Pez Thurrofoot is known as an Island Kender, one of the many tribes of Kender that roam the coastal byways of the spine of Taladers, make port around the coasts of northern Ergoth, and the eastern coasts of Ansalon in Flotsam and Barleyford, and as far south as Icewall. These Kender have lived among the atolls and the sea for most of their lives, rarely settling on land let alone having time to build a structure. They live on skiffs and canoes and barges. The Taladon and some North Ergothian Kender are of darker skin than Ansalonian Kender. They are stockier, a little taller, and they often get mistaken for dwarfs due to their increased size. Island Kender are master mariners, enabling a +3 bonus to any check involving sailing. Pez can climb a crow's nest in a typhoon and climb back down intact. Pez culture functions a little differently than Ansalonian Kender, as they are nomadic but they aren't solitary. Families travel often together, multi-generational, living in one space or vessel. Family plays a huge role in their lives. Pez has 3 wives, 2 skaglins, kids, apiece. The wives in turn each own a piece of the overall property or nest, to do as they wish, as they in turn may have wives or husbands attached to another community. This nest is where most Island Kender go to bury their treasure, stash their loot, or hole up until better weather prevails. The atolls range from massive port town communities to small cave-side inlets where pirates and smugglers dwell. All Island Kender are master swimmers, and can receive a +1 dex bonus when fighting in or around water. Pez culture is a superstitious lot, even more so than their Ansalonian cousins or even the slightly religious highborn, Island Kender. Their religion often comes at odds with the mainland dictums issued by Emperor Mercator, Northern Ergothia's proxy ruler, as most deities outside the pantheon alignment of Paladin or Reorcs are not acknowledged by the Solamnic proxy, much less the native darker-skinned Ergothians whose ancient religions were forgotten after centuries under Ergothian rule. Island Kender hold the same view as the native Northern Ergothians or Island Kender about outside human influence. They care very little, but tolerate it. Ergothian Kender are an almost peculiar phenomenon unto themselves as opposed to nomadic Goodland Kender. Their accents as well as general outlook are different, and it shows in diverse contrast, especially between Astrid and Pez. Astrid was raised primarily in the protected confines of the university established by the Sanchrist embassy shortly after the War of the Lance. The Island Kender had barely seen or heard of a dragon armies except rumors, and the cataclysm had isolated their ancestors from the main continent. When Pez arrived in northern Ergoth to help settle Barlifor Common, Astrid was a baby, and even he felt out of place among Kender who practiced a religion so very different from his own. While the Island Kender had been altered irrevocably by the cataclysm, many of them becoming religious in the aftermath. The War of the Lance or the dragon armies had barely touched northern Ergoth, and with the exception of Sanchrist avoided much of post-war Ansalon's woes entirely. The North Ergothian Kender still speak in an accent and dialect of the old Solamnic tongue. The chantries founded pre-cataclysm, and then endorsed by Emperor Mercator, were responsible for teaching much what were assumed by the Emperor illiterate barbarians. To remind you, the Island Kender ancestors came from a flying citadel that eventually crashed in the mountains of northern Ergoth. The settlement of Island was established. However, when the cataclysm hit, it separated Ergoth into 3 separate land masses: northern, southern, and Sanchrist. Pez and Astrid both punctuate their speech with phrases that are uncommon simply to the fact common itself is not their first language. In this, I tell you tings. Much like a non-English speaker trying the nuances of the language for the first time, these Kender say things that will either confuse, infuriate, or amuse one simply because of their way with language in front of common-speaking humans. Pez will often punctuate a sentence with me bar, or me may colloquially, meaning brother, sister, or friend. The indigenous peoples of the Ergothian Isles are relatively dark or olive-skinned, brown or almond-shaped brown eyes, in contrast to the sandy blonde or fair hair and blue or green eyes that Island Kender typically exhibit, whereas Goodland Kender are often identified by the topknot and slightly darker hues to their hair, attributed possibly to a genetic diversification element not seen in Ergothian Kender. Over the centuries, Ergothian and Goodland Kenders have extremely intricate familial structures often set up so inbreeding doesn't occur. A child from one community will often be set in an arranged marriage sometimes before the Kender are even born. Despite this, most Kender seem to have little bother with the custom, as they will congress with the opposite sex if they feel like it, but to them it's not the be-all end-all, as they have children and sometimes move on. Kender are somewhat lax on child rearing. They don't make poor parents, but more often than not it's always a person besides the biological parents the Kender gravitates toward. The nomadic nature of most Kender endears them as a stranger to nobody. They make friends where they are. Kenders barely spend any time inside the home past 5. At age 6, Kender law says you can legally carry a hoopak as soon as you're taller than the hoopak. Kender, unlike humans, don't seem to be particular to the concept of sex other than their attitude towards it, often like their wanderlust. Know their time with another Kender, and so they settle down to root and conceive children, and so forth. Kender are somewhat asexual in their views, especially around non-Kender. Sexual promiscuity just isn't in a Kender's makeup as one would falsely assume with humans. They have no concept of carnal lust, and the mere act of sexual intercourse is the same as if they saw 2 dogs in the street. Interesting, but certainly not as interesting as the human who tried to throw water on them and slipped and fell because it was snowing. It's just rude to interrupt someone. What if a dog came in and took a juice on your bed and then walked off? Kenders think the same thing. Leave things alone. I mean, you can look maybe, but it's probably not all that interesting. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. Go ahead and look, but I warn you, it might be gross. Kenders have no concept of sexual activity as would be attributed to humans. A human attempting any sort of inappropriate behavior around Kender would most likely get their throat cut. Kender are not stupid and are aware of human behaviors as such. It's not unheard of a human with less than honorable intentions toward a Kendermaid be tied up and left for the owlbears or goatsucker, bird, by that same group of Kender they try to lure * away for such a purpose. There are nasty vicious people who prey on Kender as they assume their size makes them children and easy to mess with. However, the predators often are unaware sometimes Kender are the best type of people to handle a problem when one of these monsters appear. Tales of a child-killing cannibal human in Flotsam being apprehended by a brave Kender who tricked them into their own demise circulate to this day. Kender do not tolerate the sexual exploitation of anyone. If the Kender is aware a person is in distress, they will feasibly try to help that person. Making someone do anything against their will goes against a Kender's very nature. Unless of course they're hurting someone, then it's okay to make them stop and hope you can before they do something really bad or the other person gets mad and does something back to them. Sex and violence for a Kender is viewed in the same light. Most Kenders are well-mannered and extremely conservative and chaste given the setting, and any indication of sex or violence usually means someone getting hurt and they don't like that. Kenders are emotional enough to see even a single person in distress will make them weep, and adverse behavior would tend to alarm them to the point they would be uncomfortable around anyone you wouldn't want a child around, and if they make a Kender uncomfortable you know that person is trouble. While it's not unheard of for Kender to be amorous around each other in the privacy of their own abodes, if there really is such a thing, it's not something a human would witness or even be allowed to partake in. Any Kender of conceivable breeding age in relative to any human adult, the adult would be considered a mere child to them. The 20-year-old Kendermaid is actually closer to 40 in human years, and she thinks your big ugly ass stinks and has buck teeth and a little knob. A human man has not known the insulting sting until any Kender catches him naked and makes a remark about his manhood being small. Actually, it's the first thing Kenders will say to an enemy. Count on it. Kenders, especially Thurrofoot, would never discuss anything of themselves in that context. It should be attributed that more than once Tars has been run out of the tents of numerous male and female companions during moments of privacy, simply because he himself does not understand or have any concept past of what he's seeing other than it looks weird. Thurrofoot understands the concept of sex most likely, but his outlook is most certainly asexual. Tars has the particular of being a Kender raised primarily around humans all his life. Very little interaction per se females outside the Kender communities. Kender on Wanderlust are often too distracted to even stop for a second and procreate like a human would do. You couldn't get a Kender to sit still and shut up long enough to root with one laughs a bailiff or harlot. He's too busy counting the coins of Mr. Lady's purse to notice. Kenders understand what sex is, but for most Kender it's not the absolute most important thing on their agenda. It's like blowing your nose, farting, and taking a squat, all necessary functions of an organic being but not that important unless something neat happens along with it. Two Kenders might have a contest to see who could pee farther, fart louder, or as many times in succession. They might hop on the back of an owlbear naked as a dare, but none of this is remotely sexual in the Kender's mind past the libertine of the act itself. All races on KRYNN are known to make references or connotations towards their genitals, except maybe elves, to challenge an opponent say on the field of battle. Many a Kender and Dwarven legion in ages past have bared their buttocks and genitals to the enemies to mock the enemy as well as each other. Kenders, humans, and dwarfs on KRYNN of this time period, however, are somewhat chaste in their regards to sex. Sex as a carnal activity outside of marriage is considered to be a temptation on which Tacitus and the forces of evil corrupt men and women alike. The chantries and religious sects of the Dragonlance medieval fantasy world would actively discourage sexual promiscuity among the races and see it as an ultimate corruption. It exists, but like any world it should not be the dominant force in mandating PC behavior beyond the simple courtesy of other people at the gaming table not needing to know it. We know it's implied, we just won't talk about it as a courtesy to others. Dragonlance has and will always be to some extent a PG-13 setting. We know the sex exists, but it's what we don't see and what is implied that we hold so dear to our sentiments, and we are allowed to interpret that as individuals how far that goes, but we keep it to our mind's eye as a courtesy to those who don't want to read about graphic depictions of sexual activity. Fair enough, right? DragonLance has never been Game of Thrones. The Kender's top knot. As stated before, a person can sometimes identify a Goodland or Hilo Kender primarily by their hair if not their dress. Hilo Kender often, not all, have fair skin and light eyes. Their ancestors got to Ergoth on a flying citadel that crashed in the mountains. Hilo Kender would often short crop or cut the child's hair, mostly due to the dictums of the chantry, and also to stop siblings from getting it caught or setting it on fire, as Kender hair grows extremely fast. Young Tars growing up in northern Ergoth was recognized for his long hair and topknot while on his dad's shoulders at a fair. A drunken barbarian and his wench bellowed at them. Tasselhof, loosely translated in Ergothian, means fringe hair, horses ass, etc. The name stuck. Kalin was the first name of the human who raised Tasselhof barefoot. The barefoot came from when his dad stepped on a burr barefoot in the dark, while on a training mission, giving the whole platoon away. He became friends with an older Kendermaid scout who would later be Tasselhof's mother. Kalin later found baby Tars at the orphanage and looked after him while his mother was off searching for Tasselhof's Kender father. Tasselhof popularized the Kender hairstyle by growing a topknot. He wasn't compelled by the church to cut his hair because he was raised by a human. The topknot did become a fashionable hairstyle for all Kenders after the War of the Lance, but was more attributable to Goodland Kender, as they tended to have the right color and texture for it. Gingers, albinos, and platinum-haired Kender exist, all with the skin and complexions and complexities that go with it. A popular well-known Kender known as Frizzhair Badair exists who sports a gargantuan, what can be described as a ginger afro with several topknots. Kender hair is only attributed to the top of their heads. Most Kenders have no hair anywhere else on their bodies, as most are very fond of pointing out to humans who have hair on their butts, which is a common Kender insult. Toward a human, humans grow hair on their butts. Oh, is that your face? It is claimed that certain breeds or families of Kender can be identified by certain genetic peculiarities. Just like humans, in certain concentrated areas you can see evidence of a breed, with certain facial characteristics being recognizable among generations of Kender lucky enough to have contained families. This once again is more attributable to Island and Hilo Kender being more centralized in family yet more isolated than their mainland Ansalonian cousins. Among Kender, anthropologists would attribute this to being indeed the same thing that happens among humans or breeds of any race. Less outside contact means less diversity. It's one of the reasons Hilo Kender find arranged marriages to be essential, so you don't accidentally marry your cousin. Astrid's mother Damaris was once betrothed to Tasselhof out of a political alliance, arranged by ruling councils of Kenderholm and Kendermore under the auspices to populate Ergoth with a new colony. The crashing of the spell-jamming ship on the plains outside Gwynd became the site of Barleyford Common and Trapspringer Manor, Mansion, Keep. Well, we haven't decided yet, but the family agrees we want to give it a pirate theme, with all the ship stuff still laying around for 20 miles. Uncle Trapspringer insists. Yeah, I know Barleyford is nowhere near us. But Barleyford Common just has a ring to it.
Alright, guys. Hold on just a second here. Let me get my shit together here. Alright, guys. If you'll just hold tight real quick, we'll be right back. Alright, y'all, I'm still here. Hey, y'all think I'm probably crazy. You've got two different people in the background, and here I am talking to somebody. Hear all kinds of weird shit in the background. I'm so sorry, but hey, this is my stream. This is what happens. Oh, grief, y'all. But I wanted to share that with y'all, at least. I was going through some issues of Dragon Magazine. Let me see what I can pull up here. Hold on just a second here, guys. I got to remember what the hell I'm doing here. What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? Oh, I remember what I got to do. Hold on a second. Hold on. I can pull it up. I got it. I got it. I had to remember where it was at. Pulled this up today. Oh, man. This is so cool. Look at this. All right. Let me see if I can. I'm going blind. That's part of my problem. Um, let's see. I pulled up, was it issue 140? Several of these. I'm trying to remember which one it was with the cover on it, but I'll pull this one up anyways to show you. This come out the year I was born. Okay? Take a look at this. Let's see if you can see it. I guess you can see that. I guess you can see it. Yeah. On the Twitch thing, it's live, buddy. You can see what I can see. All right, fine. Uh-huh. That's it. Hold on. All right. Year I was born. Now, take a look at this. Yeah. We can zoom in on it, I think. I think it'll zoom in. There you go. I don't know how it looks on the screen, but I'll tailor it. And shit going on in the background. You think I was going crazy in between me farting. I didn't realize that mic picks up on that. I should have hit the mute thing on that for the mic mute domains. No, I think that just mutes the monitor. That don't mute the main of the mic. I'm looking here a second, guys. When I zoomed in on it, let's see what it does. Hey, that's damn perfect, too. Okay. Yeah, June. Yeah. Year I was born. Yep. Damn. Look at that. Larry Elmore. Dave Trampier. Jake Jaquay. Does anybody know who that is? Oh, sorry. Yep. Oh, yeah. I can get it to read it. It'll read the damn thing. That's what's cool about. That's what I like about that. If I lose my eyesight, I can still get this thing to read it for me. That's why I use this, guys. I'm against AI too. Okay, there's a problem. Them a-holes are taking Margaret Weiss's books, everybody popular authors' books, and trying to get the AI to write like them for when they do their stupid little tabletop stuff. In a way, it's bad. But see, look at this. A lot of this is like using percentage rolls. Yeah. The artwork, man. I'm sitting here looking here. Let's see here. You can probably hear. That's the other end of the feed, so you can probably hear me repeating shit in the background. That's what the hell. I have that habit all the time. I'm sorry. I should. But, hold on a minute. Let's... I know it's got a contents thing. Do. I mean, they got this shit. Look at that. Look. Yeah. Zadron's Pouch of Wonders. Does that sound kind of familiar? Magical grab bag. All the way back in 1982, baby. Does that sound kind of weird? Look at all that. Ooh, yeah, behind enemy lines, my FASA, baby. So they were putting stuff out then. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Step off a train all alone at dawn, back into the hole where I was born. Sun in the sky never raising eye to me. Yeah, better not start singing that. So can I have some more? What the hell? Okay. They just took a fancy jewelry. King Arthur. Fifth Frontier War. And this is the stuff that was floating around 40 years ago. Ralph Arthur miniatures. Look at all that. And some of these had excellent covers. Look at this. You'd be lucky to find any of these. And I mean, they had books that come out around this era. I mean, they had some of the best damn covers, man. The art on them was phenomenal. Look at this shit. You could just, and that's what sold the book. I mean, a lot of times that's what sold the book. So art was art, you know. Oh, incidentally, y'all, I'm high. So don't pay attention to anything that I say on this stream that might be confusing or impromptu. Because I do partake in the green salad, the silly salad. Look at that. Ooh, look at that. Look at that feller. Pretty fucking sweet, huh? Hold on just a second here, guys. Okay, guys. It'll be around about, I would say, this one. So if I pull this one up, see what it says. There we go. Okay. I think it's this one. I'm hoping it's this one. I don't know. I couldn't get it to pull up issue number 147 for some reason because it was just a bad scan. I was trying to get the one that might have the review for Kender more, but they've got an advertisement, so it's close in the months. I've got a couple of those issues. I'm trying like hell to find something on it. But this is, when is this? I think this was the one that I'd pointed out to Margaret Weiss about something I'd found in it that was kind of cool. Oh, well, look at this. These are all the computer games. Is this not the shit, y'all? This is absolutely enjoyable. Yes. Ain't it? Like, yeah, so sex with a fat girl until somebody catches you doing it. No. Not unless it's your sister, eh, pal? Look at that. He's got a hold of that dragon. He's just... He's burning it out, man. Look at that shit. But, it's just amazing. Look at the, and these are cool because this one, okay, they would put these illustrations in, and you see a lot of these commonly in the D&D books, but occasionally you would find these only specific illustrations that were too, now that one you've seen before. Look at that. Throwing a troll. I guess it's a troll or somebody to the side. But look at that. It's getting punctured by a ship. Yeah, airships. Look at that. Jeff Butler, yeah. Dragons and Wizards. And look at this. They have a segment on, I think, sniper rifles. This damn thing. These are just dragons. Yeah. Alright, let me, I know, because that's disconcerting when I scroll like that, so let me see if I can flip some shit here. What we got here? We got roller computers, yeah. What was the roller computers back then? TSR previews, here we go. Okay. These were all the products that were coming out in May. 1990. You got the Forgotten Realms calendar. Darkness and Light. Okay, it's DragonLance Preludes Trilogy. If anybody has read that, that was where Kitty R and Sturm, I do believe, went to the moon. Yeah. Yeah. And beyond. Yeah. Right there. Darkness and Light. Retcon. Dungeon game. Look at all that. That was all the stuff. These were product lines that were coming out. A lot of Buck Rider stuff. Of course, a lot of that had to do with What's-Your-Face's family, but whatever. But look. Oh, nice. Look at that shit. Oh, yeah. There we go. Marvel. Karma UC. And this was stuff associated with Marvel back then, so they covered stuff like that too. I'm telling you. But thank y'all. While I'm thinking about it, anybody who's tuned in, if you want to subscribe. I'm kind of rough as a cob, and I'm not always perfect. I don't always get shit right, but you know what? I'm not the smartest man in the room. I don't pretend to be. But if I just keep getting it right, doing it till I get something right. Only time I got something right is because I probably screwed it up the first time. So I keep going. But I manage. Imagine, yeah, the roller computers. Yeah, that's I remember that game. I had a copy of that Embassy, the rescue mission. Of course, that's hostage, but that's what it's called. We had one called, it's put out by Kimco. I had the NES game version of it, but that's what it's based on. I had to avoid the spotlights and then have the snipers come in. That time, that was a high-tech damn game. Yeah, the flight simulator. Look at that. Now that's cool. Palladium books, yep. Palladium. Back when it meant something. Probably still means something. I don't want to piss anybody at Palladium off. West End Games, Star Wars, woo! Look at that. Yep. Look at that. Oh. Now, I'm kind of wondering, I mean, that's PA, but I'm thinking that they did have West End Games. I think they did have a London-based publisher, but I'm not sure. There's one in Norfolk, Virginia. Oh, no, those are hobby stores. Okay, it's people that used to carry their stuff, I guess, retailers. Oh, that shit was all weird. And it just depends. I was always assuming that most of the West End stuff you could get it in Europe. That's why they had stuff like Ghostbusters International. That's why you got a lot of the stuff, the Ultimate. Here we go. Look at this illustration here, y'all. This damn genie, buddy. It's... Wow, they're fleeing. They're coming after him. I don't know what they are, Stelkies or Harpies. He's dropped a helmet or something. He's fending this thing off with a magic ring. I guess he's binding the genie. That's what he's doing. Damn. Boom. Look at that shit. It's a wish in RPGs. Yep, that's what it is. That would have went with the Alkadim setting. Alright, Pimp Monk. Richard the Lionheart. Yeah. That's, medieval skirmish games. Yep. Look at that. This is back in 1982, y'all. The Great Con Game, huh? A con game? Okay, great. Means he's gonna fuck you out of your money? Wow. Look at that. I'm tempted to go look for those issues. But Dragonmirth was always there. Dragonmirth was my favorite part of the magazine, really. He was acting sort of chaotic. This is great. You eat it. I'm following his new diet. Wizardly Wisdoms. I don't know what it is. Okay, second arrow, right? Pulsive Shopper. Gets a milk cow. Oh, he's picking something up. He just, oh, wizard. Dog, buy a familiar. He buys a cow for a familiar. Okay. Halfling. It's like high school notebook shit. The girl's showing that little bit of leg right there. She shows more leg in the damn player's handbook. It's like, oh, that baby's like, whoa. And that thing, and you look in there, and it's like this big, ugly-ass looking thing. Looks like Darkseid or some shit. Sniper, yep. Look at that. I've got this book. I have that book right there. That's the only Forgotten Realms book that I really own. I've got it in paperback. And I got those two. Alright, y'all. Oh, boy. Alright. Thank you all for tuning in. Once again, I want to thank anybody for tuning in, subscribing. See if it'll... Alright. Well, somebody just tuned in. I tune in, tune back, somebody tunes right back in. Or they make you watch an ad. I know. That's what happens. It doesn't detect it, though, does it? Okay. I understand. Alright. Oh, we've been on about 44 minutes. That's a good bite-sized clip time. That's not bad. Alright, guys. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pop off here. So I can do what I got to do, edit, roll out. I'm going to port this over to YouTube when I get it fixed up, and you'll be able to look at it over there. Once again, pull up my channel on YouTube. It's got all my stuff on it. I usually put the good stuff over there. I make sure to edit out the boring bullshit so you get the nice good stuff and you don't have the pretentious bullshit. And plus, you ain't got to sit through the commercials. Okay? All right, guys. We'll hop at you in a little bit. What else I want to do? I can't think of nothing else other than play War of the Lance if you want me to sit through that. But, we'll end it out, guys. But thank you all for tuning in. And we'll get back on a little bit later. All right, this is Engine Joe, guys. Roll on.